Oh, hi there, and welcome to another episode of One of Swords TV. My name's Dan Amrick. I'm One of Swords. I'm the community manager for Activision, so I try to answer your questions here once a week based on what I get at YouTube at oneofswords.com. If you have a question for me, just send it on in, and if it's something I can answer, I will. This week is an old nostalgic question. I'm happy to do it. This is from a guy, and I hope this is not your birth name, Stevie Pickles. Stevie Pickles wrote to me and said, Dan, I know you're a fan of the classic 2600 games from Activision, and I was curious, after seeing Pitfall return recently, what other classic 2600 games would you like to see Activision make again? Oh boy, this could be a long video, but it won't be, I promise. In case you're unaware, what Mr. Pickles is talking about is that Pitfall came out for iOS in a brand new form last year, and still features Pitfall Harry, and it was sort of like it was a runner-style game. So, let's back up. Activision has one of the deepest IP libraries in the industry. They have a lot of classic games that are sort of like just waiting to be reused when the time and the idea is right. So while I would never want to rush having any of my nostalgic old family friends, as it were, because I grew up in the era of Atari 2600. So Activision was the very first third-party company in the entire industry. A bunch of guys left Atari and said, I think we could do this ourselves, and so they did. And, as it turned out, they were right. So some of my favorite games from the old days that I'd love to see reinvented. River Raid is probably the number 2 game after Pitfall that people associate with classic Activision. It was a scrolling shooter, sort of like a Raiden or something like that. It was a vertical scrolling shooter, and it was one of the first ones, really. And you were playing a bomber going over a river run, and you would take out boats, and you would pick up fuel, and you would shoot down helicopters and stuff like that. It was, for its time, very advanced, really cool. You'd blow up bridges, or else you'd crash into them and stuff like that. It was really cool. There's enough great concepts in River Raid that I'd love to see those revisited sometime. My other one that I really loved from the old days was the one game, like we all have a game that we grew up with that we wanted and we couldn't get. For me, that game is Mega Mania. I didn't get Mega Mania until I was an adult. And, keep in mind that Space Invaders was an unstoppable force in the late 70s, and so many people just made Space Invaders ripoffs. Mega Mania was... Man, it's really good. It's definitely inspired by Space Invaders. You can see that it is. But it has really crazy enemies, strange things that look like pink automobile tires and spinning bow ties and weird stuff like that. But most importantly, the enemies don't just march down at you. They sort of scroll side to side, and then they seem to move almost erratically. There are patterns to it, but even predicting the patterns once you know it, getting your shot to land where you want it to land is really difficult. So in terms of like a really clever way to do that, it was a really good shooter idea, and I'd love to see somebody revisit it. Of the classic stuff. Of course, if you've never played any of these games, they are available for iOS. There's a beautiful collection for Apple devices called the Activision Anthology. Comes with Kaboom for free, and then you can buy the rest through an in-app purchase. I obviously did that right away. It works with my iCade. In fact, if you have pardon me, if you have one of those arcade sticks for your iPad, it's supported by iCade. So you can play some of these original ones. I'd kind of like to hear what other people that are nostalgic for the 2600 days are familiar with Activision's classic catalog. Am I crazy? Is River Raid and Mega Mania the right answers here, or do you have something that you grew up with and you'd like to see re-envisioned or revisited at the very least, and not just reissued? Because the reissues are out there, but I'd love to see somebody say, you know what, I like this idea, let's modernize it. So those are my choices. If you have them, let me know. You can either say it right down there in the comments, or send it to YouTube at oneofswords.com. Why not include another question that you have about Activision or Activision games, and maybe I can tackle it on another show. In the meantime, go to oneofswords.com. I have all my stuff there, including podcasts and giveaways and whatnots. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.